Indian land. It was so exciting that much this year. They're having a wonderful semester down in Indian land. Yes.
So I want to say that my ministry is encouraging homeschool moms. I have done that through the entire time I was in the school system, encouraging principals, encouraging teachers, and when I left that, I kind of was like, what am I supposed to do, Lord? Because, just like you, I'm starting out trying to figure out, does he still want me to use all that background? And so he impressed upon me he impressed on me a long time, but I was in the midst of the stuff. And I was like, I can't encourage anybody because I need to encourage myself. But then he gave me that. And so I love doing that. And what I want to encourage you is from my story. So I don't love to be transparent, but God has made me be the place where I need to be transparent. And when I had 3 kids and I was homeschooling, I was like, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. Got it. Good. That's the path. It sounds really bad, but my parents are South American. And so as foreigners that came to the country, education is everything. It's all I heard my entire life. So I have way too many degrees and way too much loans to talk about those degrees. But the point is, so that's where I was like, got it. Home. And so you can imagine what that looks like if I'm trying to get to Harvard, Yale, and Princeton. And I love my kids. I love children. That's why I got an education. So I really knew what I was doing it out of love. However, you don't realize what they're taking in. And because firstborns, all of your firstborns, there's just something about them that we pour all of that anticipation and just, I'm going to be the best mom ever. And sometimes what that does is give them all of these expectations that are just unrealistic and unfair. I did not think I was doing that to my son. So I'm not going to take that on completely joking. I was. But what I didn't realize is I was allowing other people to do that too. Because what happens a lot of times when you start homeschooling, and you look at all of the articles, you look at all of the amazingness, homeschooler graduates with doctorate at 12 years old, homeschooler is reading Shakespeare at 2, like there's all these things, and you might think you're not gonna do it, but you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm doing homeschooling, so my child's gonna be amazing, they're gonna be gifted, they're gonna be, so there's no normal children in homeschooling. We know that's not true, but that's the mindset, right? And so people would send us articles of what I just said, like 15-year-old graduates with doctorates, and then my son loves words. Anybody that meets him knows he's into words. So then they would say like, oh, you're amazing. So there's just all this stuff pouring on him. And if you don't protect that, you don't realize what's happening to them. So I'm sharing this with you with my son's permission because I want you to understand that we have to be aware of what we're doing. So part of my background after I left education, well, didn't leave it, but I kind of left out of the classrooms, I went to mental health and kind of really started to learn that through really having a mental health crisis. And I knew that I needed to understand that. And one day I came into my son's room. Probably I saw the light on still under the bed. I was like, what's he doing at like 1 o'clock in the morning? And he was fervently, like panically flipping through the scriptures and like going through stuff. And I'm like, at 13. And I'm like, I came and sat on the bed and he's like in this, if you've ever seen, what is that movie? The emotion movie that's out right now?
Oh, Inside Out?
Inside Out, where they have anxiety kind of just there. That's what was happening. He's just going through and I sat on the bed. So much so that when I sat on the bed, he didn't even recognize that it was really me. And I said, hey, what are you looking for? What are you searching for? He just starts bawling. He's like, I don't know what to do with my life. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, I don't know what I want to be. And prior to that, he and him leading, wanted to finish early. Like that was his goal. He wanted to accelerate. He asked that. He wanted to go to MIT. And so obviously if he wants to do that, I'm trying to get the information, but it's MIT. So that means like, there's some things you got to get. And so it's like, this is where you want to go. So but I'm following, I think, his lead. So I come in and he's doing that. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, everybody feels like I'm supposed to know what I want to do with my life. And I don't know what I want to do. And what if I don't want to do it in engineering? And what if I don't? Because he was writing a book at that time. He's like, what if I don't want to write the book? And he's just melting down. And in that moment, I realized, what kind of pressure is a 13-year-old feeling that they feel like they got to know what they're going to do with their life, because people are asking that of our children all the time. What do you want to be when you grow up? Like, they should have that map out. What college do you want to go to? What? And so if we're not protective of that, we start to feed into that. And so when we start to look at these transcripts and these things, it's like, okay, so what do you want to do? And let's figure this out. Let's get it. You got to do it. And we don't realize it's the anxiety that we have that we're putting on them, because the fear is, what if I'm not doing enough? What if they get to the end of this homeschool thing and everybody looks at me and says, really? What'd you do? Like, or they go to college and they're like, oh, you can tell your child's homeschooled. Absolutely, because they don't know anything. They didn't do anything, they don't know anything, or they're not prepared, or they need and scrambling. And so all of that anxiety we're putting on them, and we don't realize it because they're not necessarily going to say it. They're not going to say, you're putting a lot of anxiety on me, but they start to internalize it so that I need to have this path out. At 13, like when I left that room, you can imagine, if you're a mom, you know what I did. I went across and just, what have I done? And so he was on that track, but after that, like maybe 2 days later, I said, listen, we're slowing down. I'm not asking you, because I would ask him, like, are you sure you want to? He said, I'm gonna be done. I said, we are slowing down. But I said, what if people say I'm done? I don't care what they say. We are not doing that. We're not fast tracking you. Is going to start doing enrollment at 14. We're not going to do it. But there's no but. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. And I said, I am sorry, because I should have protected you. You are a child. You are 13 years old. Play. Run. You don't have to have it figured out, because I don't have it figured out, and I'm 51. I'm like, talked about it. But he threw that back at me. He's like, you've always known that you wanted to be a teacher, which I did. I said, because God told me that path. He hasn't told you yours yet, and it's okay. And I will protect you from everybody else that says you should be something, because that's the role that I really need to have.
Right.
And he went through that year, because now then my eyes got opened up. I was like, this is not my child. He's quiet, he's kind of shy, he doesn't do things. He had that pressure. And when I said, nope, you're doing one class. One class. Actually, no, it's two, because he did 2 classes here. That's it. I had to trust God to say, is that enough for right now, God? Because what if I trust you enough that you love this child more than I love this child, and that the path you have for them is already set for them? And so the truth of the matter is, what I do matters, but it isn't the be all end all, because all we're doing is doing the 5 loaves and 2 fish. He's going to multiply. What's happening is we're trying to multiply. We're trying to be like, and it's okay to be prepared. I never would say don't prepare. I would never say do the things, know the things, have the things that you need, because it's important. But remember that you are not the multiplier. So when it's all in your hands, you're going to drop the ball. But if you can say with fellowship, with people, what are the things I need? Okay, and show them that's the way. I tell my kids all the time, and I had to go back and say to him, I haven't been saying this to you enough, but God has a plan and a purpose for you. I'm a part of that. But he is the one that's orchestrating that. So let's go to him and say, what do you want? And I don't believe he needs you to graduate by 14 for that plan to be revealed in your life. And so as we're going through this, just remember that this is a part of it. You're not ruining them. You're not doing anything so horrible that God can't redeem. You love them, so you're gonna do the absolute best. Just like some people said, if college is not the path, college is not the path. And you have to be okay with that. Do the preparation, but don't think that you're on the other side of that. Let your children know, I'm walking this journey with you. That's what really our guidance counselors do, is say, what is it that you think you want? Well, we add a spiritual aspect. Where is God leading you? And what is the path to get there? It's college? Okay, let's find that college. Just remember that they're internalizing this, and they know that the world is looking at them. So we have to protect them from that and say, we don't care what the world says, because you're not living for the world. So even if they're, quizzing you at the grocery store randomly because they find out you're homeschooled, we don't have to live by that. We can do something different. If college is the plan, it's the plan. Dual enrollment is a beautiful thing, but we don't have to do dual enrollment at 14, 15, 16. And because we're homeschooled, they could go through all of their traditional homeschool, and the dual enrollment can be the last 2 years, and you can do that 17, 18, because you don't have to file that graduation day until you file it. So you get to make this. One of the things I want to encourage, I say to my clients all the time, homeschooling is freedom. If you don't feel free, you're not doing it right. Oh. If you are feeling like, then you are not homeschooling. You're doing something else, because homeschooling it opens up more space and more time for you to do what God has allowed you to do in your family. So if you're feeling like this, you got to ask yourself, why? It's not the homeschooling. It's somebody else's expectations. These are great resources, but they're resources.
Yes.
They are tools in your hand, but you have to know what you're building. And what we're building is a lifelong journey of children, adults who serve God with all their gifts and their talents. That's not contingent on college, transcripts, any of those things. So I just want to encourage you to keep that as the forefront. Then all of this can be stressful. It's not that it won't be stressful, but you can center yourself back and say, okay, what am I doing? How am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And partner with your child so that they don't feel that anxiety. I hope that encourages you so that you just know that you're not alone in this. You've got a community, but more so than the community, you've got the one who created your child, leading you, if you will lean into him and say, what do you want me to do next? And teach your child that. Like, mommy, what are we going to do? I don't know. Let's talk. Let's pray. Let's ask him. Let's see. What does he put on your heart? Did he put the same thing on my heart? Now let's go for it. So I hope that was good.
That was amazing.